million Americans are struggling with student loan debt, but black households carry the most outstanding balances of all racial groups. The data show that black people owe anywhere from $32,000 to $35,000 after graduating from college, according to a recent study that surveyed nearly 1,300 black people who took out loans. They feel so hindered by their debt, they describe it as having shackles on their ankles or like Jim Crow. When black borrowers in that study were asked if they regretted taking out student loans, 66% answered yes, describing them as unpayable and not worth it. And when black borrowers were asked if taking out loans for higher education helped them achieve social mobility or wealth mobility, here's what they said. 58% said they disagreed that student loans advance racial equity, and 61% disagreed that it helped them build wealth. And here's one reason why. In 2018, median annual earnings for black men with a bachelor's degree were 30% lower than their white counterparts, and for black women, it was 19% lower. Joining me now to discuss is senior fellow at Brookings Institution, Andre Perry. So Andre, what is going on here? Why is it that black people suffer under more or disproportionate amount of debt than anybody else?
Well, it really centers around the wealth gap, and we know that black median wealth is about $17,000 compared to white median wealth, which is about $170,000. And so a lot of families, when they're sending their kids off to college, they draw down from the equity of their home, they take out savings, and much of that that savings that white families have, black people could not earn or accumulate because of historic discrimination, going all the way back to slavery, Jim Crow racism, and then housing discrimination, and then, as was mentioned, job discrimination, wage differences. And so black people just have less wealth, less discretionary income when it comes to paying for college, and so we have to take out more loans. And most student borrowers are low to negative net worth, and black people are disproportionately in that category. And so we almost have to take out loans if we want to participate in a knowledge economy. It's almost a necessity.
Talk to us about how state funding of state schools contributes to this. Many, if not most, historically black colleges are state schools, but over the years, states have continued to cut back on the amount of funding that they give to the state schools in their states. This has really hit black schools very hard. Many have struggled to stay solvent, and they do not have enough money basically to dole out or to keep tuitions low. So the tuitions go up, the students need to go, they can take out more and more loans. What is the cycle there as it relates to black student loan debt at historically black colleges?
Well, first of all, historically black colleges take on many more low-income students. About 75% of HBCU students actually take out loans compared to less than 50% of their white counterparts. And so they're disproportionately taking on students with loans, but states are systematically providing them less resources to take care of those students. And we know that first generation students require more money. And in the case of Tennessee, we found that $500 million have been systematically robbed from those institutions. In Maryland just settled a lawsuit for $500 million of essentially systemic underfunding of those institutions. And we should assume that this is going on all over the country. And let's be clear, private institutions are also, or students who attend private institutions are also suffering because the price of the tuition keeps going up and up and up year after year after year. And and incomes are not keeping pace, as was mentioned. And so it's really a disastrous cycle that again, if we want to participate in a knowledge economy, if you want to be middle class, you have to go to college. If you don't have wealth, you have to take out a loan. And so we have to do everything to cancel student debt. And by the way, President Biden has the power to cancel student debt. It wasn't a part of this latest legislative package, Build Back Better, and the infrastructure bill. We know that, but he has the administrative authority to cancel student debt. And so the Ed Trust report that you just mentioned, many students have said they want to see student debt canceled. And even my research, we found that canceling student debt reduces the racial wealth gap. And so the
Right.
more debt we cancel, the more we close the racial wealth divide.
Let's talk about another thing that the Biden administration can do and that's coming up. There has been a pause in repayments of student loan debts. That pause is coming to an end in February. What do you think that the Biden administration should be doing about that?
Well, in an election year, if you restart those payment plans, I think there's going to be serious repercussions about that. So I do think he's going to cancel student loans during that period. And let's look at the positive effects. The one bright light during the pandemic, millennials started purchasing homes at a higher rate. Why? Because they could save more money and they used that discretionary money for homes, but their student debt was frozen, improving their debt to income ratio. So they did what happens when we get those kinds of revenue. We purchase assets, homes, cars, started businesses. And so it's a positive sign. If we cancel student debt, we improve the economy overall. And that's what Biden should think about.
Andre Perry, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it, sir.